Hi guys, Skypoint here. There have been another round of balance changes to the game, so in this video I'm going to run through them and offer my thoughts. We're going to be taking a look at the Death Guard changes in focus, and then also seeing my latest deck for the Death Guard. But before that, we're going to start with the Nighthouses, who've had a number of changes. So let's toggle over and talk about those. So one interesting thing is the devs look like they're going with a plan of making incremental nerfs to the Nighthouses as opposed to a huge load of nerfs at once. So that's going to avoid the risk of kind of over nerfing them. So instead, it looks like every couple of weeks, while they're too dominant, the devs are going to be making a few changes to the Knights and seeing how it impacts them on the ladder. So this time round, 3 cards have had changes. The first card is the most commonly used Nighthouse card, the Epic Armor Cerastus, Cerastus armor. So, what happened over here? Well, originally the Cerastus armor had started with 4 plasma bonus and an extra card. In the first round of nerfs, they cut that down to 3 plasma because a lot of people felt that the Knights were getting plasma too easily. Now, Cerastus is still very, very popular, so the devs have gone ahead and removed the bonus card it starts with. And that's actually quite a big deal, because Warlords, which start with 1 extra card in hand, get a fairly decent sized advantage because you're more likely to get the cards you need to start off the early game strong that way, especially by drawing the extra card and also being able to include it in the mulligan when you return cards you don't want at the beginning to your deck and draw new ones. So I think actually removing this extra card is a fairly big deal. It's going to make it that little bit harder for Cerastus Knights to win their matches, because statistically they'll be less likely to get what they need for the early game. Alright, looks like the early game is a big focus because the next card which gets a nerf is House Orlac. So this is very subtle. They haven't changed its cost or anything like that, but House Orlac's text before used to be, create a copy of a weapon in your deck in your hand. So what this meant was you could have a fair bit of control over the weapon that was created by controlling which weapons you kept in your own hand, basically, right? So if you wanted 2 graviton cannons, well, the way you can easily do that with a fair amount of reliability is have just 1 graviton cannon and 2 other weapons in your deck, and whenever House Orlac came up, you would be able to choose from 3 weapon cards in your deck, so your graviton cannon and the 2 others, and create a copy of it. So this is going to start making that sort of weapon designing build slightly harder to do, because now you're going to be given a choice of 3 random weapons, and you create one of those in your hand. And the final card which got nerfed is one which has become extremely popular, Munition Depot. So this card previously used to have Rally and Relentless, and they've just changed that to Relentless instead. So what it means is your opponents do get an opportunity to try to prevent you from benefiting from the Munition Depot. Obviously that cost reduction of weapons in your hand was huge, especially if you had the high-end weapons, the expensive ones, and you're able to try to keep the munitions depot alive for a few turns. So this just makes the depot quite a lot less useful, because there's no longer a guaranteed cost reduction to your weapons. You now have to focus on trying to keep the munitions depot alive as well as your warlord and weapons. So I like this change. A lot of people felt munitions depot was a bit overpowered, and I was among those people, and I like what they've done here. Alright, so that's the sideshow dealt with. We can go on to the main event, which is the Death Guard. So yes, the Death Guard have been buffed, and they have come out with a sweet alternative art for Calas Typhon. I mean, it's quite similar in looks to the old one, like his armor is pretty much the same, but I love this just because it looks more aggressive, more pugnacious, and the voice lines are so much better. So I'm not going to run through them for the old card, but this is just what they were. Maybe they're not that good, maybe I just am too used to them, but let's take a look at the voice lines for the alt art Typhon. I love this stuff. Look at this, the greeting. Instead of, what's the old one's greeting? I think it was just, I greet you. And now what you have is, I am the herald of what shall be. I mean, that's just so much more dramatic. In fact, let's listen to that right now.
I am the herald of what shall be.
I love that. You've got any final words, the perfect line before a finisher.
Any final words?
And then when the enemy tries to, hit your board or damage lots of troops, but then you use your ability, which I'll talk about in a moment, to heal them up, then you get to throw out this thing.
I won't allow you to keep that Death God from its destiny.
And then when you wipe out that powerful unit the enemy has,
I only did what was necessary.
when you draw cards and they're great.
I have the answers I want.
And then lastly, when the enemy board gets unexpectedly wiped out.
Just you and I now.
These lines are great and I love it. But anyway, we're not here to listen to Typhon lines. We're here to talk about the changes. So let's get going. I'm going to just go to all cards. And the first change is their counterattack. So a lot of people felt the death card had a pretty worthless counterattack before. I personally always liked it, but instead of being heal 2 to your warlord, it's only a gain +1 health, but you can give it to any troop you like, and that can carry some troops out of threat of being easily removed. So for example, Jubak's Starsight is normally easily destroyed by Abaddon's ability because Jubak has 3 health and Abaddon's ability does 3 damage. But with Jubak and a counterattack, you get to make things more interesting. Alright, so the counterattack was the first one. Next we have changes to a couple of warlords. So we're going to start with the rare warlord, Nathaniel Garrow. So this is the easiest one everyone gets. So his changes are actually a little bit subtle. Before, it used to be that after putting a troop in play, he can act again, and you can spend 2 energy to heal a unit for 2 points. So they've changed that. They've now said 2 energy gives a unit +2 health and removes poison. This has 2 elements to it. First of all, this means you can technically give a unit health beyond its starting health, including carrying Garrow, for example, to 35 or even 40 health, as long as you can keep putting troops in play and using his ability while he's at full health. This will be very useful for fights against Angron in particular, because you can just try to keep Nathaniel Garrow's health even above 30 by putting troops in play. And the second one is remove poison from a friendly unit. This wrecks Korvax. Korvax spends 2 energy to give poison to a random troop. So if you're Garrow and you're facing Korvax, for 2 energy you can not only undo what Korvax just did, but you can actually make your troop even stronger than before by giving it bonus health. So it's going to be interesting to see what people do with Garrow builds after this change. But what's even more interesting is Calas Typhon, who is now incredibly powerful. He still has his Destroyer Plague card, but now his energy ability, it used to be spend 2 energy to heal 3 damage to yourself, and now it's 2 energy to heal 2 to all of your units. Typhon's troops are going to be horrible to kill, because if you don't kill them in your turn, he's going to just heal them back up again. We're going to see that later on in the match which I play. Lots more changes to go through though. Next up is Geldurk Squad. Where's Geldurk Squad? They've had a bit of an interesting tweak. Geldurk Squad's energy and stats are unchanged. Their old ability used to be a backlash. So when they died, they would give +2 health to a friendly troop. So it would be a random friendly troop, in fact. And this was sort of interesting because if you were playing as Geldurk Squad, you were hoping that they would give their health to the most useful troop. And if you're playing against Geldurk Squad, you would normally try to handle them by killing them last, after there's no more enemies left, and so their backlash ability was wasted. So this is a very good buff to them, because now their ability is always going to be triggered, and you get to choose who gets it. And I believe, because this doesn't say to another friendly troop, I think Gilderk Squad's ability can be applied to themselves. I have not tested that yet, but the way I read this card, it certainly looks that way. So for 3 energy, you get a 2 attack, 6 health unit. Which looks good. Next up is Thordol Squad. So Thordol Squad used to have a pretty average set of stats. There were 4 energy, unstoppable, 3 attack, 5 health. So their stats were very average what they were. The big draw was unstoppable. Well, they've added poison to them as well. So this is going to make this card very useful for Mortarion, but also other Death Guard builds which rely on leveraging poison. So I like that. This is a neat little buff, and I think it's going to make this underused card much more popular. Next is my favorite change of them all. Purity of Will was always an important card for the Death Guard, because it was a 5 energy unit with 3 attack, 6 health, so average, but it used to remove poison from all your units, so it would be excellent against Korbaks, and when you put it in play, it would heal too. It had a rally effect. This card has a huge buff, so it keeps the rally effect, so when you put it in play, poison's removed. It still keeps its healing effect, but they have now changed it to resolution. This is excellent for 2 reasons. So resolution triggers at the end of every turn. And so first of all, this means Purity of Will does not just heal once. Every turn it's alive, it's healing your units. And with 6 health, it's one of the toughest units that the Death Guard has. And the healing impacts itself as well, I believe. Again, it doesn't say to your other units. But the other reason why this is really good is because it's a resolution, the healing happens at the end of your turn, so you can attack with your troop. I guess no, that's pretty much the same still. But anyway, you want to attack with your troops, then they're damaged, play Purity of Will, they get healed at the end of the turn. So it's really great. Now that it's resolution, it's a tough healing unit. It's very, very strong, and pretty much any Death Guard build can benefit from this. Next is one of the underutilized legendaries in the game. Where's he gone? Captain Hallgarg. So before his energy cost was 5, his stats were 6 attack, but a mere 4 health, which made him quite squishy, and he used to give frontline and poisonous to neighboring units. So he's had quite a bit of a buff. He gained an extra point of health, which makes him harder to kill. He still gives his neighboring units poisonous when he goes in play, but instead of giving them frontline, and I think honestly this is good because the Death Guard already had lots of frontline troops, he gives neighboring units +1 attack and +1 health. So that is a very strong ability over there, and now he's a very good card to have for your Death Guard decks. Next, another very underutilized troop was the Imperial Reaper. So this used to be a big blocker before. It was 10 energy, just 7 attack, but 14 health. Although remember, there's so many cards in the game which do hard removal. But it sort of was underwhelming because just a big frontline unit was not that great. But they've made a huge change now. They added a backlash effect, and what a backlash it is. Whenever this thing is destroyed, poison all enemy troops. So wiping this thing out is not just a simple matter of playing hard removal on it, because if this is wiped out while the enemy has lots of troops present, well, it's bye-bye to those troops. So that's a very interesting change, and I like this card a lot more now. I've never put it into my decks previously, but it's going in now. Alright, and a couple of other changes. So chem munition, a lot of people did not like this. I was always fond of it, and they've made it even better. They cut down the cost from 2 energy to 1 energy. So it's a nice little filler in your deck to give them just that little bit more oomph and poisonous. Obviously Mortarion loves this thing. Next up we have Shield Up. So this was a very popular one. This used to be, I think, heal a unit fully and give it frontline. They've removed the frontline side of it. Again, I think the Death Guard have lots of frontline troops already, but it now gives a unit +1 attack, +1 health, and it removes poison. So it makes it much easier for the Death Guard to play around with mass poisoning effects, so I like it. Also, this is continuing to make the Death Guard even harder to deal with for Korbaks. And the final one was, where's it gone here? Blessings of Nurgle, because now that the Death Guard have a couple of super vehicles, like Purity of Will is really good now. Their Sorak bikes and their Korturg bikes were always good cards as well. And of course now they've got the Imperial Reapers. They're becoming more viable. Their vehicles are more viable, but Blessings of Nurgle before used to only affect their Astartes. So now this has changed. Blessings of Nurgle gives poisonous and +2 health to every Death Guard faction troop. So a minor tweak, but it's just going to make the Death Guard that little bit stronger as well. Alright, so that's all the changes. What I wanted to do was show you my latest deck. So let's take a look at this thing. This is my Calas Typhon deck, and this deck is mostly themed around doing poisoning. So I'm going to run through the cards from cheapest to most expensive and explain what's going on here. So, Chem Munition, just throwing out a poison, making some troops stronger. Between Chem Munition and my counterattack, I can actually give +1 attack and +2 health to a unit for 1 energy. Melgator's always great, and Melgator with Chem Munitions even better, or Melgator with Captain Holgard can get better, so pretty flexible with this deck. Korturg Bikes is one of the best early game units, lots of damage being thrown out by it, both through its actual attack and its backlash. Blight Grenade is good for clearing out the shaft. The Reaping, so if your deck plans on using poisoning, the Reaping is very important to have. Dewback Starsight is just always a useful card, and again, with Chem Munition and or my counterattack, he can become extra tanky. Busfex Bombs are part of the poisoning. Zaggart Squad is just useful. Vengeance for clearing out threats. Death Cloud for poison. Fordal Squad for poison. Captain Holgard for poisoning. Purity of Will, so this removes the poison and it does that huge healing. First wave for lots of bodies. Endurance for damage and healing. Endurance being one of the best epic cards in the game. Ignatius Grolgor. Just because for the energy, you get a lot out of this card. 7 energy gives you a 5/4 unit, which is worth around 4 energy. A Meldon Squad, which is worth 1 energy. And then, of course, a Plague Marine, which is going to be worth a couple more points as well. So it's pretty good for the energy you spend. Spectre of Death for hard removal and poisoning. Mortarian's Resolve for bailing me out of bad situations. Only 1 Death Shroud. I generally don't like having more than 1 Death Shroud in my deck because I sit there with 1 on the board and 1 in my hand and I feel bad. And lastly, the Imperial Reaper because I like what they've done with it. Alright, so that's the deck. Let's go ahead and take a look at a really fun match I had with this against Korvax. Alright, the match starts. So, not a bad set of cards. I felt Purity of Will I'd like to see later on, and I don't need 2 Death Clouds to start, so let's put those away. There we go.
I brought you into this world.
And this gives you power.
Beautiful. I love that interaction between the warlords there. Now this is unfortunate. He already has a Plague Toad out. So I'm going to try and drop a Korturg Bike and make it slightly harder for him to destroy. There we go. And in case he has ideas about not attacking with that Plague Toad, let's just hit it so that my Warlord can destroy it next turn. Okay. Cloaked units. Alright, is he going to shoot it? Yeah, he's going for it. So hopefully it's going to damage his Toad. Nice! There's only a 1/3 chance of that happening, but it happened, so I'm not going to complain. Alright, 3 energy, so not much I can do here, so let's just waste that turn. Comes back. Ugh. Healing. Extra healing. Great. Let's go ahead and wipe that thing out. We can use Vengeance to give me 5 attack. And destroy that. Perfect. Here he goes to his 5 energy turn. What does he have? He's also taken the lead on health so far. Oh no. I don't have a way of taking that out right now. It's going to start buffing his demons up crazy. Alright, what are we going to do? Let's drop Fordle Squad, because they will poison whatever takes the damage. 5 attack. Okay. Drop the Rotfly. So he went to destroy Fordle Squad. He's going to lose his front line troop there, but that's fine. He's trying to create flies. Seems to be his goal, and he goes for a big hit on me there. Okay, 6 energy. Ah, the Reaping. Perfect. This is not bad. So what I'm going to do is drop a Death Cloud. That's a mass poisoning. I could either use the Destroyer Plague, but I'm going to use the Reaping to destroy the poisoned unit. There we are. He's got a 6 health lead over me. It's fine. I've got plenty of healing to offer later on. He's running low on cards compared to me too. Okay, he had nothing. Interesting. What was he waiting for? Okay, let's drop Ignatius Grogor. That starts to build up my board presence, and that's it. So... oh, this is great. Yeah, he tried to go for the poisoning. That used up half of his energy there. And he figured he'll just sit there and take it, but he doesn't realize what's about to happen. Attack with Grogor. Drop Purity of Will to remove poison, so my guys are alive. Use my Warlord ability to heal up. And now... there we are. My vehicle healed me up a bit too. Interesting. Okay, Captain Holgard shows up. This is great, actually. You can drop Captain Holgard and attack with all my units. And there we are. Attack with the Medical Rhino as well. Purity of Will. Then use my Warlord ability to heal everything. More healing. Nice. All of a sudden, that health lead he had over me is evaporating fast. Lots of poisoning, lots of stunning now as well. Alright. Then he's going to headbutt my front line troop, and then use his guy's ability on it to destroy and copy it. So I think I'll be seeing that Meldon squad coming up shortly. Alright, 7 energy over here. Let's drop a Purity of Will to stop my guys from dying. Zagart squad. And heal my Warlord. Probably didn't need to heal the Warlord. I should have attacked. Big hit over there. I think he's hoping he can stun important units, but I don't think it's going to be enough. Hit his own guy. Did put down a frontline troop. Oops. There's my alarm. Alright, he put down a frontline troop, but that's not going to be enough for him here, because now watch this. Phosphex bomb on the Meldon squad, followed by the Destroyer Plague. Honestly, I could have even used Spectre of Death to just destroy it, but let's just do it in style. Bye-bye, Destroyer Plague. And then we can just finish him off with my remaining troops. So, that was fun, and what you really saw in that match was the sheer amount of consistent healing power that the Death Guard now have. Alright, so I hope you found this interesting, hope found the video enjoyable. Let me know what you think. Do you think the Death Guard have been buffed nicely? Are they too strong now? Any changes you think need to be done? Comment in the video down below. Alright, so until I see you guys on the battlefield, bye for now everyone.